Welcome to another episode of Outside Shots. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Thursday morning. I'm Saul Bookman. The guy that's underneath the screen is EJ. Hey, EJ, how's your week been?
My week is fine. Just got back from Vegas. Took my mom, got her set up. They want to hang out for a week. Had to run around, get show tickets, go get water, just go get snacks. And I was only there for 2 nights. Got my head beat in poker. I got the hell out of that town. I don't want nothing to do with it.
You're a good son, EJ. You know, you go around taking care of your mom and all that.
Gotta do it, man. Gotta do it. Had to get her a scooter, electric scooter. I don't even want to look at my American Express bill.
Well, this is obviously we're presented to you by the good folks at OGs, and we'll get to them in a second. But there's a lot of stuff that happened this week, obviously on the Suns front. We'll start with them announcing that the G League Suns are back, called the Valley Suns. They've returned after a 3-year hiatus after the former NAZ Suns were sold off to Detroit. It was interesting to see how everything unfolded yesterday. I wasn't blown away by the creativity of the brand or anything like that, but I understood the reasoning behind it. You were in Vegas, and I know you caught wind of it either yesterday or a couple days before that. But what were your overall thoughts on the G League coming back?
I think it's important because player development is something that I think we've been behind a little bit, and we've drafted a lot of young players, and yet we don't have those young players anymore for whatever reason. They're playing on other teams. And I just, I use, for example, Derrick Jones Jr. Like, whoever's been working with this dude, because he's not the dude that we saw when he was in Phoenix, that we saw. But this dude now, he's been working on his game, and he's turned into a solid player. He's a starter on a team that, quite honestly, could go to the finals. And he's playing a major role for them. And so I use that as an example. Like, you can get better at the game every day if you put the work in and you're being taught the correct way. And to me, a G League affiliate, a G League team gives you that opportunity to get that done. So I'm excited for the Suns. I'm excited for the fact that they do have a G League team again. And we'll start to see the improvement in players that they might draft late, pick up as free agents. We don't know anything about them. But all of a sudden, because of that player development, hands-on mentality, that player could be a factor for the Suns a couple of years from now.
I'm glad that you mentioned the development part, because that is so vital to what the Suns are doing. I mentioned it several times this week on our Suns pod that, I just don't feel like, I'm not saying that they're not taking that as seriously as they should. But what I will say is I do think that there's been a bit of a neglect to that side of things in terms of development and really valuing younger athletic players more so for veterans because of the state you were at as a franchise trying to win a championship. And I mean, to your point, I did not look this up. This is off the top of my head, but I do believe the last 7 draft picks, all 7 are gone. They're not part of the franchise, including George King, Elia Kobo, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jalen Smith, and now Portland. Why am I forgetting his name? Kamara. Tomorrow.
That's okay.
I'm just fumbling with words right now. But you know what I'm talking about. But like 7 players.
That's okay. Don't speak another language. I probably wouldn't, but I understand.
Toumani Camara. There we go. And so the fact that you don't have anything that you've built in-house, any consistency in that side of things, to me is a red flag, because you can't always rely on free agency and trades to get where you need to go. Sometimes you have to hit on draft prospects. And if you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, obviously they knocked it out of the park with Anthony Edwards. And they have other players on that roster that were drafted, that were developed. And then you look at, the Dallas Mavericks. Lively is a fantastic player, and they got him. Not early. It wasn't a top 10 draft pick. He was 12th overall, and that was an immediate hit. And you saw the effect that he had last night on that game. And so I just feel like that consistent reliability to not want to go towards the draft and really develop players to a certain degree is ultimately going to come back and haunt you, especially as you see right now with the tight cap restrictions that the Suns are under and what they're trying to do to maneuver around and really shore up their team. It's starting to rear its ugly head, and I'm glad they're trying to.
Well, I think it has to be a combination, right? It has to be a combination of youth, because the thing with the young players is those are the ones that's going to play your role for you, and you have 100% control over them. They'll run through a brick wall because they're trying to prove themselves, and so now it's up to you to kind of harness that energy and develop them, and it will pay dividends for you. You're not going to win unless you have veterans. You got to have veterans. You're not winning with young people. It's just not happening. People might say, well, OKC was young. Well, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is 25 years old, not young. So, you got to have a combination of the two. And I think that's what's important to develop any championship team. You got to have a next man mentality, next up man mentality, and that's normally a younger guy trying to get his opportunity to prove himself. And along the way, every day in practice, before game, you're in his ear, you're teaching him, you're watching films, you're giving him minutes, and you're saying, you know what? If you give me a good 4 minutes, next game it could be 8 minutes. Next game, it could be 12 minutes. You don't want to just hand it to them, because we're in an age now where everything is handed to these young players and they turn out to fail, a lot of them. I know I came from a generation where when I first got to the Kansas City Kings, Cotton Fitzsimmons, this is what he did to me, Saul. And I'm telling you, it's the best thing anybody could have ever done. I got drafted from the University of Illinois, a tweener, as they called me, because they didn't know if I could play small forward or power forward. I weighed about 230 when I got into the league, and they realized right away that I couldn't compete with the power forwards of the NBA, so I had to lose weight, and I had to change my game. But I remember my second year, Cotton Fitzsimmons walked up to me and a first-round pick, Kevin Loader. This was after a 3-hour practice. Took us in the other gym. And he looked at us. This is a preseason game. We're getting ready to play. Last preseason game. He looks at both of us and he says, I don't know which one of you all I'm going to cut.
Jesus.
This is a true story.
Wow.
He brought Mike Woodson into the gym with us. And he told Woody that he was just going to pass us the ball. And me and Kevin Loader had to play one-on-one for the next 45 minutes. Now, granted, we just practiced for 3 hours. And he says the winner of the one-on-one will start tonight, and the other one better hope he doesn't play well. This is a true story.
Wow.
Man, I love Kevin Loader. I wore his ace out. I was hungry, man. He was hungry too. I started against Utah that night, exhibition game. The next night, I think I had 28 points and about 14 rebounds. And I started for the next 400 games. Like, it was that development that I went through in the summertime and just working on my craft and working on my game. I went to Pete Newell's basketball camp with all the veterans. And all of a sudden, I went from averaging 8 points a game to 20. I averaged it to 20. It was like 19.5 or something like that. That's development, man. That's what you have to do. And I just think we've lost sight of that with a lot of these young guys. We expect so much of them. and they're coming in green as I don't know what. They're coming in at 19 years old. Came to the league at 22. I was already physically ready for the man league. A lot of these kids aren't. So yeah, I love the fact that the Suns have done this. We needed it, and I think it's going to pay huge dividends.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the draft because the philosophy I feel like has been kind of like f them kids for a large portion of the time. I'm going to name a couple players, and this is I'm catching EJ a little bit off guard with this because I didn't give him the name of these players before we started. So we'll see. Let's see how much you know about college basketball, EJ. Here we go. There's a couple players in the draft this year that I think are going to they're going to surprise some people in the NBA, and I think they have the potential to help out this team. And since you're at that 22 range, unless you're certain about a prospect that you look at and you're like, I know that this guy's going to kill it and he's being undervalued, I think these are kind of sleepers in the draft that the Suns will be interested at least taking a look at and potentially drafting at a certain point. There's three players I'm going to give you. One, I know we're talking about drop coverage and we're talking about limited athletic ability on the perimeter when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, when it comes to Zach Edey. But I do think that Zach Edey can find a role if it's the right role in the NBA. And because of the way the Suns' style is, I don't think it'll be the worst thing in the world for the Suns to take a flyer on somebody like that because down low in the post, he's very good. He can shoot the mid-range jumper, so the pick and roll could be there. And he surprised some people at the combine in terms of his athleticism. So that's number one. Number two, Deron Holmes played at Dayton, 6'9" forward. I think he shot near 40% from three this year. He had 22, 10, and 4 against Arizona in the tournament. Very good player, also a local product. So there's that. So you're looking at a center, a backup center possibility. You're looking at a power forward. And then finally, I'm a big fan of KJ Simpson. KJ Simpson's a guard, point guard out of Colorado. The knock on him is his measurables in terms of his physical measurables. He's a 6-foot guard, but he's kind of got that dog in him as well. One of their best players, shot very well from the perimeter last season. And again, when you're looking at this team, you don't need scorers. You don't need high-level players. You just need great role players at this point when you're talking about the draft. And I think one of these three guys could be that type of a player. Obviously, there's a ton of time between now and the draft, and we'll get into that more. But just generally in terms of NCAA basketball, I know you're a big Shannon Brown fan too from Illinois because I know that's your alma mater. You've watched that kid play. You said he reminds you a lot of Russell Westbrook. Do you have any thoughts in terms of the draft and where you'd like to see the Suns go?
Well, I think it's that time to really concentrate on the draft for the Suns. I think over the last number of years, the Suns obviously have been, more leaning toward the veteran players to mix around the stars, and they're going to still do that too. I think if they do go point guard, that it should be a veteran that they should try to pick up. Obviously, not a ton of money to spend. The draft is just a conundrum for me in regards to getting somebody and thinking that they're going to immediately help you. It's like a crapshoot. Like Lively, I don't know if Dallas thought that he would be doing the things that he's doing. I think the addition of Gafford has propelled him even more because now he knows that he might not get the minutes that he used to get because they picked up Gafford. And so it's that veteran, motivational tool that you can use on young players. And I think it's helped him. I like Edey. I do. I like his toughness. I think his footwork is excellent. I think he has a motor. I've watched him run up and down the court. He's not one of those guys that's slogging up and down the court. He actually gets up and down the court. I was extremely impressed that the guy played basically the entire game every time that he played. You don't see many big guys play that many minutes in college basketball. They get winded. They take them out. I applaud the coaching staff for Purdue for doing that to him because it's really going to help his resume as teams start to look at him. So if he's there and he's available, I have no issue with that. But again, I think the best fit for the Suns, and I think what they should be looking for, in my estimation, is two positions. One, a long, athletic big, meaning a guy that can shoot the ball from outside, run the floor, 6'10", that can protect. To me, Kevin Durant. Like everybody needs a bodyguard, and I think if you had a long wing like that, I think it takes a lot of pressure off KD having to go in there and get 8, 10 rebounds. I think KD's value is really letting him get out on the break and letting him run. But in order to do that, you got to have two guys in there rebounding. Well, with Nurkic in there and a long wing power forward, that allows him to get out on the break, allows Devin to get out on the break. That's what I would like to see. And if not that, then definitely try to find some point guard that's got speed, young kid, got size, 6'4" and above, got a body that's ready to play, and he'll join. And the only mentality that you need from him, push the ball. Just push it. Get it up the court. Don't turn it over. Push it up. Get 20 seconds on that shot clock. Get out of the way and be able to stand still and make a three. And that's not a lottery pick. There's going to be a lot of point guards in the draft that can do something like that, but you got to find them.
Yeah.
So that would be my mentality, man, to look at those particular areas right there. And then if an ED comes along and you have an opportunity to go for it, I would go for it.
I would too. I know a lot of people are down on him because they're like, his ceiling and his baseline is like what I see Boban, and then his ceiling was Yao Ming, and I'm like, well, I can see where the comparisons are going with that, but I think he's somewhere in the middle of that, and I don't think he's going to be a drastically awful player at all. I think he's going to be
he can make free throws too.
He can,
so he's not a liability out there. So, yeah, I'm on the same accord with you.
When you tell me a little bit about what you know about the process in the Suns organization in terms of scouting, recruiting. How many scouts are there typically in an NBA organization, and what is the flow of communication and conversation when it comes from scouting department to the executive level? And like obviously like a James Jones. What's that communication like? Is it ongoing? Is it weekly, daily? Is it monthly? Are we just touching base every now and then? Do we really get serious about it as we get closer to the draft? And how many times do you see general managers actually going out on the road to maybe scout players themselves? Does that happen very much?
Yeah, well, I'll just speak for me if I was in a situation like that, because it's different really levels of execution for whatever organization that you have. Like some teams put a lot of emphasis on their scouting department. Some teams probably don't. And so, the Suns over the years have went to different levels because you've had different GMs, you've had different levels of leadership and how people think. For me, yeah, I would be a heavy scout guy because then I would rely on those scouts. I mean, to me, the scouts are some of the most important people in your organization. Like, you got to just think of the levels of certain things that can help you, right? The ultimate thing is the product that you put out there on the floor. Nothing else matters. You can go hire the best at whatever and put them in a front office, put a suit on them and all that. It means jack squat, man. If you don't have a product to put on the floor, who cares? And we see these people get fired all the time.
Yeah.
Bickerstaff just won a coach of the freaking year. He just got fired. Frank Vogel won a championship. He's not here. Like, you can go on down the line. So it's the product that you put on the floor. And so to me, your scouting department is extremely important, but it has to be people that you're familiar with and also people that aren't afraid of you. Mm. Like, if you want to just go hire some yes men and send them out scouting, and they go out there looking at players like they know how you look at players and not really using their creativity and their understanding of the game, to say, you know what, I think this guy's better than the one Eddie's thinking about, you know, and be willing to come back to convince me. Like, I think when you're a GM, you want to be convinced. Like, you want the people that work under you in any business should be smarter than you. That's how I view it.
Yeah.
The only difference between them and me is that, oh, I had the opportunity to know somebody to get to the position I am, and you're trying to climb to that position. But that smart person is going to make you stay above them because they're going to make you look brilliant because they're out there doing the right things and really finding the right players and helping you make the right decision.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't get that. You know, we don't get that, man. And so that, for me, scouting is extremely important because you're going to find Luka Doncic is the perfect example. Like, I'm not going to get on the Suns or get on Sacramento or get on anybody for not drafting Luka. No one knew about him at a high level. You know, like, it wasn't like a definite, you know, like it was with Zion. Like, it's not like a definite, man. Like, you know, like it was with Anthony Davis. It's like, oh, I heard he can play. I heard he's this, but he's playing over in Europe. Yeah, you don't know too much. Yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah. I mean, all these questions start to come in. And I know Igor was here and he had a relationship with him, but maybe his power wasn't enough to convince. And that's the point, you know? And I think that, so, you know, sometimes you just want to get ahead of the game, man. And the only way to do that, to me, is just scout departments got to be really good.
Yeah.
And they got to be really smart. And they got to be highly rewarded for what they do. Because, one, they're away from their families. They're traveling everywhere. Because me personally, I send their ass everywhere. I'd be like, hey, man, tell your wife there's going to be some issues. You're on the road. You're not watching video because video doesn't do it. Because you got to get to that game 2 hours early. I want you there early enough to see that dude get off the damn bus. I want you to see his reactions with his teammates as he's walking in. I want to see how he walks on the floor and warms up. I want to see how he interacts with everybody. Like, we see him on video in the games that he can play. We see he can play. I want to see how he's acting. Does he help his teammates? You know, how's his language? How's his body language? You know, all of that. Because those are things that you're going to have to enhance. You know, and so for me, yeah, that position is important, man. And I think the great teams over the years, they've been able to stay ahead because of that. Like, you know, let's face it, Miami, player development, top notch. Come on, man. They went to the finals with dudes we didn't even know they were.
Yeah. I mean, Golden State's the same way.
Yeah, Golden State. So we know that that's important. And that's something that everybody needs to pay attention to.
Yeah, you can pay attention to some OGs by going to ogsbrands.com, finding yourself some of the best edibles in the game, sativas, indicas, RSOs, the vegan gummies, the clementine flavors. They're fantastic. Check them out, ogsbrands.com. Follow them on social as well, ogsbrands. They have some of the best edibles out there. You can't go wrong. Go find the closest dispensary to you by, once again, going to ogsbrands.com. And remember, you must be over the age of 21 to enjoy. You can also enjoy some Four Peaks, terrific craft brew. Again, all over the valley. You can find them in just about every store, convenience store, you name it, it's probably there. You can also go check out their 8th Street Pub. It is fantastic. They have food, they have beverages, they got a nice outdoor patio, they have nice little ambiance out there. And also they have a lot of different events that happen, especially in October with Halloween and Stein Holding and all this other stuff. So check them out at Four Peaks Brew. On both socials, Twitter or on X and on Instagram. And remember, if you're going to enjoy some Four Peaks, enjoy responsibly. And remember, you must be over the age of 21 for that as well. All right. I'm getting a little tired in a variety of different ways of the whole Caitlin Clark conversation. I think there's two things at play here. I think, you know, obviously Charles came out and he was just like, he basically said women were being petty about Caitlin Clark and not wanting to give her credit for the amount of viewership that's coming their way and all this other stuff. And then, and then LeBron, obviously, he said that people need to stop hating on Caitlin Clark and, because she's bringing viewers to the WNBA. And while statistically speaking, yes, that is true. I also think that there's a portion of this conversation that it's like we're trying to eradicate the WNBA to a certain degree and act like it didn't exist before Caitlin Clark existed. And I'm not saying that that's the case with these two guys or in general, but this conversation has become so toxic and so it's just really, really just, it wears you down. And so I wanted to talk about Caitlin Clark and what she's brought to the league. Listen, she's going through it right now. She struggled a couple games at the beginning of her short career. Diana Taurasi had pointed out that, it's not going to be easy because the W is a very hard league and there's only 12 teams and everybody balls out. And I don't think people really, she was getting flack for that, but she was right. Like any rookie in any league is going to have, there's a learning curve that exists. And I don't understand why this conversation has been so viral to the point where it's become like, it's almost like we're trying to force people either against Caitlin or for Caitlin. We can't just be happy that there's a good player in the league that has a lot of popularity that a lot of people do like. And the things that come along with that are okay. It doesn't mean we need to slander everything else in order to boost something else up. And it feels like that's where we're at in our country. Like you can't just like two things at the same time. You have to put one down to lift another one up and vice versa. And it's just exhausting, EJ. It's really exhausting.
Yeah, it is. It's just unfortunate that she's in the middle of this. And I don't even think that she asked for it. I think she loves to play basketball. Basketball is her life. She plays it extremely well. She plays a very unselfish, beautiful brand of basketball. But life is tough, man. Like the people who put her up there, they're the ones that should be looking in the mirror. Like she didn't ask for a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the ones that put her up there, the ones on social networking that's talking junk, that jumping ahead, like we just talked about this, jumping ahead of where the person eventually is going to be, but you're jumping ahead. Like, you're going on a trip to Hawaii and you already wearing Hawaii garb and you haven't even gotten there yet. What the heck wrong with you? Like, wait till you get there. Like, you're already talking about how beautiful Hawaii is, and you ain't even there yet. How you know you're going to get there? God willing, hopefully you do, but how do you know it? Like, stop talking about, your paycheck, spending your damn paycheck before you get it. Mm. How many people do that? Like, they spend their money before they get it.
Yeah.
Like, let it happen. Let it happen. They didn't let it happen for this young lady. They jumped on her because they knew they got some gold, right? But the goal hasn't been, it hasn't been, what's the word I want?
It hasn't matured yet.
Yeah, it hasn't matured. You don't even know how much it is. Like, you meet somebody and you run around talking about, I got her. Yeah, got her number. She talked to you like, I don't like you. Now you got to go back and eat crow because one of your boys got the number too, and he's the one going out with her.
Yeah, it's just exhausting.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. Like we live in a world where people cannot be patient enough and wait. See, Timberwolves lost last night. Dallas is going to win the series now. One game.
Yeah.
One game. It's a 7-game series.
Yeah.
And so with her, these young ladies, and you said it, 12 teams. Just imagine if the NBA only had 12 teams.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine if the NBA, like JJ Redick was like, well, there's only a certain amount of teams back when you played. Dude. That means it was more competitive. That means you had the best of the best of the best. spread over those amount of teams.
Yeah.
You imagine every night you had a playoff game because the talent was stacked. Think about it. Go do a draft, people, and just condense the NBA to 12 teams and do a draft.
Oh my God.
Every team will be good. Every team. So that's what Diana Taurasi was talking about. This isn't you going over to Europe where they got hundreds of teams and all of that, and it's spread out, the talent is spread out. No. We can ball. And she's seeing it.
Yeah.
She's seeing the physicality. She's seeing the relentlessness. She's seeing it all. They did it in golf. When Tiger had his issues and didn't golf anymore, Jordan Spieth, he gonna catch Tiger. He's the new Tiger. No one has been the new freaking Tiger.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
No one will catch him.
Yeah.
You know? So let her be, man. Let that young lady be. She getting handled right now. Good. That means that she's going to be even better when she figures it out.
Yeah.
When people wanted to jump on that bandwagon, and you look, you know me, I don't bite my tongue. And I've said this on the show. I'll let you speak and I'll shut up. Listen, I get it. I used to like hockey, but I didn't see anybody play hockey look like me.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm like, damn, can we get one? I'm like, can we get one brother playing hockey? Now we got about 30 of them.
Yeah.
You know, now I say, a young kid growing up in the city, because we used to play street hockey because we couldn't get on no damn ice. We play street hockey. Now you got young inner city kids that I can play hockey, right? Well, you got a white, excellent basketball player, and people are saying, damn, she could be the GOAT. Like she can turn out to be the best. But enlisting her so fast, the true GOAT, who's white, Diana Taurasi, you forgot about her. She gone. She old news. You know, come on. Like, let her mature, man. And she is going to be a great player. I truly believe she will be.
Yeah.
But let it happen.
I agree. Listen, I agree. I think there's so many different aspects and elements to this whole complex situation when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And yeah, I mean, everybody was in a rush to kind of boost her up as fast as possible. I kind of saw it from a different angle. I thought, listen, she's a really good player, but you can't let hype overcloud your judgment in terms of what she's really doing out there on the court and how she's going to do it against the best of the best. And we saw that. We've seen that so far. And we've seen that against when she had to play against really good teams in even college. There was a little bit of a struggle, but she was still able to get hers. And I'm not trying to degrade Caitlin Clark by any stretch of the imagination. And I agree. I don't think it's not on her at all. She's playing the game. But I think the biggest thing that people forgot and didn't realize is, man, when you put somebody on a pedestal so fast, so quickly, everybody in that league is going to try to use her as an example. They're going to come after her game out. It happened to LeBron when he was this teenage phenom and he came out. Everybody wanted to get their licks in against LeBron. It's no different than what Caitlin Clark's going through right now. Everybody's like, oh, okay, this is my time to like maybe put her in her place right now and let her know like this ain't going to be some cakewalk. And listen, that's competition. That's just what it is. And I just, again, like, what I don't like is this narrative that we're just going to push other people down to raise somebody else up. And so I don't agree with Charles Barkley. I don't agree with LeBron in terms of saying like, hey, the WNBA players should be thankful that Caitlin Clark is here because she's made them relevant. Like bullshit. Like league numbers were already starting to skyrocket before Caitlin Clark even came into the picture. So I don't want to hear that mess. We have a super chat by Basketball Cthulhu about our last topic. Says he has had enough of valleys with this team. Where are the peaks? And no, he's not talking about alcohol. EJ, I'm in Chi-Town this weekend. Galloping ghost time. I don't know what that means. What's galloping ghost time mean?
I don't know. I have no idea what
Yeah,
that means.
I
I'm
have
from
no idea.
Chi-Town. I should be embarrassed, huh?
I have no idea.
Well,
EJ,
since
what's
you
good?
in Chi-Town, hey, since you in Chi-Town,
Huh? Oh, jeez.
go see them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
We playing
Uh,
Atlanta. We playing Atlanta right now. Atlanta's pretty good. We got to get them today. They kicked our butt yesterday. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
go play my Cubs, baby. You don't see behind me, Saul, but I'm telling you, I can't turn the camera, but I got my club, I got my championship. Oh, I can do that. I can turn.
Yeah. You can.
Uh,
Oh, there you
you know, I got my Cubs picture right there.
go. All right.
See
All
that?
right.
I got my autographed baseballs up there.
Oh, look at you.
Okay, I got Barry Bonds. I got Clemens. I got who I got? I got all the greats up there. Yeah,
That's
you
fantastic.
know. Yeah, then whoa, I'm gonna blow you away now. Then I got my helmets up there, man. You know. See, I'm a football guy. See, you guys don't understand that. I'm a football guy. Yeah, so I got my Cubs. So go check out the Cubs, man. The super chat. Yeah, tell them EJ sent you. Go to Wrigley Field. Tell them EJ sent you.
And they're like, "Oh
All
yeah,
right.
we're gonna downgrade your lower level seats to the upper deck, please. We don't know
Well,
EJ like
any seat in Wrigley Field is perfect.
is it?
That's why it was ranked the #1 baseball stadium in baseball this past couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So
Yep.
any seat is great.
All right. All right. Bull Sampson does not like the fact that we're talking about the WNBA and Clark. Well, then go somewhere else. We're
Well,
gonna talk about.
why doesn't he like his
I don't know. He
basketball?
says your show, you're right, but sorry, talking about the WNBA and Clark ain't it. Like, why? Like, why? Again, like this doesn't say Suns. It doesn't say outside Suns or Sun shots or anything like that. This is outside shots with Eddie Johnson.
Yeah,
And we're going to talk about
I'm
whatever we want to talk
more
about.
than that.
If we want to do the
I wish
whole
we were
show and not
playing
even
right now.
if we want to do the whole show and not even talk about the Suns, then that's just our prerogative. That's just what we want to do. It's all right.
Yeah.
And there's
We
nothing wrong
talk
with it.
about 90% Suns. You
Yeah.
know, those guys are look. I don't want them to be on vacation, but they're in Cancun. They probably on some yacht somewhere. You know, we
Yeah.
here working. We
Yeah.
here working still. You know, so we calm down, people.
What they
The
say?
season's gonna be upon us. Look, trust me. After June, this is how it goes. After June, the finals is over. I still believe it's going to be Minnesota and Boston in the finals. Even though I think Indiana's going to stretch Boston, and obviously Dallas is going to stretch Minnesota because they won the first game. And if Dallas gets to the finals, you know we're going to be hearing from the Maverick fans, man.
Oh yeah.
So, but I'm pulling for Kyrie, man. I think that guy's been, you know, and some of it's his fault. But a lot of people have been highly critical of him over the last number of years, and rightly so. Some of the stuff he said. But as a basketball player, I love how he's changed himself. And I love like reborn products. Like, you know, you never thought that he could be back in the situation, you know? And so that part of me is feeling good about how he's, you know, turned himself around in a short amount of time to the public. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so it's good to talk about stuff like that. But season's going to be upon us again right after the finals. We're going to have a draft. Okay. Excuse me. Then we're going to have summer league.
Mm-hmm.
Then the players are going to be reporting in September. And then we're going to be right back into a training camp. So
Yeah.
let's enjoy these 4 months and enjoy whatever we talk about with the Suns.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Okay, fair enough, Bull. So Bull Sampson did come back and say, okay, well, let's talk about a celebrity boxing match between EJ and Justin Termini.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Here's the thing, right? Because if we had a celebrity boxing match, he and I, right? And you can listen to us every day, Sirius XM NBA radio, 1 to 4 Pacific time, 4 to 7 Eastern time. If he and I did have a boxing match, then that means I'm licensed to finish him.
I've seen
There you
Justin.
go.
I've seen Justin.
There you go.
I
There
don't
you
think
go.
that's not a fair
I would
match.
I would tell you something. I would torture him.
I believe it.
I would knock him out. I'd do what Tyson used to do. Remember he did that, I think, to Trevor Burbick. Trevor Burbick was talking that junk to him, and he just tortured him for a couple of rounds. That's what I would do to him. I just torture him. I hit him with body shots, hit him in the chest, just test him.
Kind of like what Manny Pacquiao did to Oscar De La Hoya. Just
jab,
body, jab, body.
Just test him.
Yeah.
Let him hit me just so I can get ticked off.
Well, hey folks, that's another episode of Outside Shots with Eddie Johnson. We appreciate you all for joining us this week. We'll be back again next week with some more Suns talk. I'm sure there'll be something else that pops up, and
it will be
some other things. Also, shout out to Kalia Copper, only the second woman in WNBA history to have back-to-back games of over 35 points. Our very own work. Represent 2-1 on the season. They play again tonight. So fantastic start to the season for them. Go check them out. And we have a takeover that starts in June 13th against the Las Vegas Aces. You can't go wrong. So you can go to gophnx.com/events to find out more about that. Until next time, you can follow him on JumpShot8 on Twitter. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman, and you can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. Until next time, peace.
Peace.